Hey friends, if you're tuning into this episode, don't be alarmed that I talk about Easter. This is how long ago that I have been recording. I have got a lot of episodes that I am now editing back for you, so don't be confused or don't be worried. Whatever month you were listening to this is when I recorded this particular podcast episode. And today's episode, we are talking about why mindset matters most when it comes to your weight loss journey. Hey friends, welcome to V.A. Nutrition Coaching, the podcast. You are tuned in for another weekly episode, and I am your host Verona, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm here to give you mindset focused nutrition weight loss advice that you can keep off for the long term. It's not about restrictive diets here. It's not about cutting out carbohydrates. It's definitely not about cutting out your favorite foods in order to lose weight that, quite frankly, as soon as we've lost it, we end up regaining it and a little bit more. No friends, I'm here to give you real talk, no nonsense weight loss that you can actually achieve realistically and keep it off. I'm a faith-based woman, also keeping it real when it comes to weight loss and keeping it real when it comes to nutrition, helping you do things that you can actually sustain for a long term. Now friends, let's get into today's episode. But one of the things that I focus on the most, especially when it comes to weight loss, is equipping the women that I teach, the women that I coach, the women that I support with nutrition and weight loss and keeping it off. Friends, if you haven't already signed up for the You Can Eat That recipe bundle pack, you can go to the website vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/you can eat that. Hello, friends. I hope you are well. I hope you had a fantastic Easter. I am recording on the Easter bank holiday Monday. We had a phenomenal Resurrection Sunday church service. And what I will do, if anybody wants to listen to it, I'll keep the link down below. You can have a watch of that if you weren't able to get to a church service this weekend. Now, if you guys know, I am a Christian here, friends. And one of the things that I do is celebrate my faith and take my relationship with Christ 100%. That's who I am. Without Christ, I would not be here today. So that's basically what we did over the weekend. And we celebrated not only his death, but we celebrated his resurrection and the symbolism of what his death means. We were literally eternally separated from God through the things that we do wrong. Even though some of us, even before I became a committed Christian, I was like, you know what, I haven't done anything wrong. Just by birth, we've been born into situations, or sin is sin, literally. Sometimes we don't intentionally try to hurt anybody. I understand all of those things. I used to say those things myself, but it's not about that. It's really about where we spend eternity, and that is what Jesus came for, to bridge the gap between us and God. There was like a big gap. If you think of two caves and there's a big gap between it, you've got no tools, you've got no utensils to get to the other side, but you need to get to the other side in order for you to complete and get to your journey. You have to get over to the other side. And Jesus, in the form of, there's images that you can see online, like two caves, and then you see Jesus on the cross with his hands out, and that bridges the gap from where we were eternity lost without Christ to now fully being reconciled back unto God again. Now, I'd encourage you to go online and to search that and to study what that is. You can study, if you are somebody looking to understand that, you're looking to understand and you've got more questions, go to a website about Alpha, ALPHA. I will just get the website for you. So the website is a universal website. You can go on, anybody, whether you're in the UK or not. Basically, Alpha is an actual course. It's an 11-week course that creates a space, whether that's online or in person, where people are excited to bring their friends for a conversation about faith, life, and God. And this changed my life as a Christian woman years ago. I got saved at 18, so 20 years. And there's been trials. It's not all, fairies and light bulbs and all of that stuff when you come to Christ, because there's loads of stuff that we have to work through. But this helped me. I took it myself, took the course, and then I went on to teach others to do the course. So this is fantastic. If you've got questions, go to alpha.org and you can find all of the information on that website. Now, today, friends, I am talking about mindset. Now, I don't know if you know, but I am a mindset coach, and this underpins my coaching and my teaching with women all over the world when it comes to you who struggle to lose weight, but not just lose the weight, but keep it off. So today, what I'm talking about, my friends, is why mindset matters the most when you're trying to lose weight. Now, there's a saying that I have when it comes to my business, which is a scripture, and the scripture is taken from Romans 12 verse 2. Therefore, be transformed by renewing your mind. But the actual verse that I've taken is the same verse, but I've actually used be transformed by changing the way that you think. And our minds are incredible. Our minds can either help our weight loss, or our mindset can either hinder our weight loss. And how many of us know that we've had both times in those both camps. Like, oh my goodness, we have spent time in areas like we're on fire. We're like, oh my gosh, I can do this. The weight is just coming off, it's falling off me. Oh my gosh, my pants now or my trousers are too big for me. This is amazing. I feel on top of the world. Then suddenly we stand on the scale and realize the scale is going up, and we're like, oh my gosh, look at me. I'm fat. I'm so fat. I can't do this. This is never gonna work for me. And we get stuck in those camps. Sometimes we can get stuck in those camps at any point in a day. We can be on a high 1 minute and then we can be on an all-time low the next. And I want to encourage you, before we even get into today's episode, I want to encourage you, if you are in that space right now where you're in that mindset where you don't know whether you can continue to lose weight, you're in that mindset where you are looking at yourself in the mirror and you're calling yourself fat, you're calling yourself ugly, you're calling yourself marshmallow, you're calling yourself all forms of negative words that you would not dare permit your 5-year-old daughter, your 25-year-old daughter, any child that's in your presence, you would not dare permit for them to speak about themselves that way, but yet you continue to speak to yourself that way. I want to encourage you, Christian or non-Christian, God sees you, He knows you by name, and He has given you a brand new identity. It's about finding that identity, and how we can find that identity is by speaking the truth. Those are not truths. Are not your reality. That you're not a fat, frumpy, all of the words that you say, you're not any of those things. I used to call myself fat, fed up. Look at you, you ugly. Look at this tire on your belly. I used to say the most horrible things about myself. You're doing the same thing. I want to encourage you, and I want you to hear me good. I want you to take this word, these words that I'm going to give you today, and I want you to put it on a post-it note. In fact, I saw this in the gym this morning. I went to the gym this morning. Oh my goodness, that session was so hard. But I went to the gym this morning, and someone has started this post-it note section on the gym, and there was like so many encouraging things, so many motivation things on the wall, the post-it wall, because a mirror is something that you look at every day, whether you like what you see or not. Some mirror is something that you see and you look at every day. I want to tell you that you can do this through the power of the Holy Spirit. If you're Christ-like woman, through the power of the Holy Spirit, you can do this. And it might be hard, it may be challenging, but you can do this. We are not meant to struggle and suffer on our own. There's a whole community of women that are waiting to connect with you. There's a whole heap of women that are waiting to hear you are an overcomer. So put that down. You are an overcomer. I am an overcomer. It's not me. You are an overcomer. You can put the word you, or you can use the word I. You can personify it. You can personalize it saying I. But I am an overcomer. Whether you receive it, whether you speak, you feel it or not is not the point. But I want you to say that over yourself for the next 30 days. Begin to speak that over yourself. I am an overcomer. And continue the sentence. Comma. Don't put a full stop where there needs to be a comma. I am an overcomer. And you keep expanding on that sentence. There were loads and loads of post-it notes on the mirror in the gym this morning because people keep adding to it. We don't know who it is. We don't see who writes it. We just write our notes and then we stick it on there. There was even one post-it note that said, please don't take the post-it notes or the pen home. But every woman that comes into the gym, she will look into that mirror and she will feel exactly the same thoughts that you do, exactly the same thoughts that I have. I feel so bloated today. I'm so this, I'm so that. But those encouraging notes are to encourage you. We don't know who said it, we don't know who wrote it, but we can read it, and that little thing gives us a pep in our step. I am an overcomer. Children, what I've overcome domestic violence, I've overcome addictions, I've overcome struggles, I've overcome barrenness. Whatever your painful thing is, you begin to speak life over yourself. I haven't even got into the episode yet, but I'm on one because this is why I love to do what God's called me to do. Because when you start to begin to speak truth, there is no room for doubt. There is no room for lies. There is no room for the enemy. Believe me, he's going to come and try to come back in, but do not give room to the enemy because your mind is now filled with the truth. Now, let me get into today's episode because I could talk about these kind of things forever. But when it comes to mindset and when it comes to losing weight, one of the things the biggest thing, bigger than the scale, bigger than what you're eating, bigger than counting your calories, bigger than tracking your macros, bigger than Weight Watchers, bigger than the blue plan, purple plan, whatever it is that you are deciding to do nutritionally, your mindset is going to be the key to either break or build your weight loss goals or your weight loss successes. And the key to that is we need to understand where those negative thoughts come from in the first place. Now, when it comes to you losing weight, the very key thing, there is an importance in your mindset, how you think, how you speak, how you act. Those things are important. And one of the biggest things that I talk about coaching, counseling, focus on the fat loss, whatever program you're doing with me, you will know that I repeat and repeat and repeat. And the reason why I repeat it is because it takes time for it to get into our minds, not just our minds, but also in our hearts. Now, the Bible has a scripture that says, as a man thinks, so is he. So basically what that means is the more that we think a certain thing is the more that we are going to become the things that we are actually thinking. So there's books that are Christian, there are books that are non-Christian. There's a Christian book that I can recommend to you called Think Yourself Thin. You don't have to be a Christian. It doesn't matter. You could be a Muslim, you could be whatever faith and read the book. It's not about that. It's Think Yourself Thin. There's other books as well. I don't even think there's books that I can recommend. Think Yourself Thin is also another book if you're somebody into reading books. Made to Crave is a well-known weight loss book, but from a biblical Christian perspective. So if you're somebody who does not mind Bible scriptures, if you are somebody who wants to actually go and read what the Bible scriptures are, these are great books for you to tap into. But when it comes to negative thoughts, we can set up camp in that area for way longer than we actually need to, because we can get caught up in thinking, nah, I can't do this. This is hard. I've cheated. Look at this. And you start to reel off a whole host of words about yourself that don't make you feel good. And so one of the things that you can do is start to change the way that you speak. Now that's going to take time in order for you to get there. And that's why I create the 6 months coaching program specifically for us to work through that. For those of you who are committed, real 110% committed to getting change, this is the program that I created for you so we can dig deep into these mindsets. Now we're changing the way that you think, but we're doing it together. It's not me telling you the answers or dictating to you, do this, and then you go away and do that. And then you come back when you've done that, and then I give you another task to do. It doesn't work like that. We work together to help get you goals. And so that's why I've created it as a 6 months to really help you hone in on getting those things done. Some of you can get it done in 3 months. Others take a little bit longer to do. And I encourage the longer, because the longer you do it, the better it comes for you to form habits. So when you're changing the way that you speak, research has actually shown, not just the Bible, but research has actually shown that the more that you speak life over yourself, you actually begin to live out those thoughts that you actually speak. That's how we think. And as we think, those things then come out as behaviors, and then they turn into habits. So let me give you an example. So if you have just eaten, let me give you this example, because this is a common example. A very, very common example that I wish wasn't. But it's all too common, this example, where you start off your nutrition journey. Again, you re-sign back up to Weight Watchers and you go to the meeting, or you go to Slimming World, wherever it goes for you. You go to the meeting, you go to the weigh-in, and they're like, yes, fantastic, you have lost 5 pounds. So you start to celebrate that now. And the thing that you're celebrating with is not words, but you're celebrating with more food. And remember, if you're eating more calories than your body needs, that's going to cause weight gain, and it's also going to cause water retention. Now, you're not going to gain fat overnight in 24 hours. You're definitely not going to gain fat overnight if you eat at 6:01 p.m. We need to stop believing these things. I don't know why people promote this, but it isn't true. It is absolute nonsense, and I don't know why we believe it. I used to believe it myself. But what happens, you see somebody looking like the way you want to look, and you take their word for gospel. If you're following people on social media and they are telling you, stop eating after 6 p.m., if you don't, you're not going to lose weight. They're lying to themselves and they're lying to you. They're trying to guilt you or shame you into losing weight. Because if you work late, there's an accident, there's a diversion, you're starving. Are you then going to stop eating because they said to you, you can't eat it? Don't eat carbs. Now that's a lie from the enemy, because what it's doing is causing fear mongering. It's called fear mongering, causing you to think something that's true that isn't, but you're being afraid to take action because you think that you're going to gain weight if you eat at 6:01 p.m. Now, nothing's going to happen to you if you eat at 6:01 p.m. If you have a cut off, for example, you have a window that you eat in and you eat at 6 p.m., but you're not physically in a place where you're able to eat and you have to eat later. But what you might find happening is, if you then stand on the scale, due to the time that you stood on the scale and your digestion and things like that, then you are more likely to retain water. In a few days, the more that you hydrate yourself and the more that you think about the foods that you're eating, that's what causes overnight or water retention. The foods that you ate the night before that lead up to the time that you weighed your scales. If you're doing training, that also causes water retention and will cause you to gain more muscle over a period of time. Consistently lifting heavy things or more reps however it goes, but you're causing your muscles to work harder over a period of time. For example, at least a minimum of 4 weeks, you can begin to see muscle definition. It doesn't happen in 3 days. The second tip is we need to understand where we're getting our information from. And if it's from people who don't have qualifications, sometimes people who have qualifications are telling you rubbish too. You have to be wise and you have to be mindful of who you're listening to. But some of us, when we're believing these things, I can't eat after 6 p.m. unless you have been medically advised not to, because you have an appointment or an operation or a procedure the next morning and they require you to stop eating at that time. Go by all means, go by what your doctor says, because you want to have the most success of this operation, because that's why they tell us not to eat if we're being under the influence of anesthesia. But when people who don't have those qualifications, they don't know you, they don't really know about nutrition, they're telling you to stop eating at 6 p.m. because that will make you gain fat, it is not true. And that's why we have to be mindful of where we are getting our results from. And to be fair, that's why I created this podcast, to give you no nonsense weight loss advice, to help you start your journey. Some of you have gone on to have coaching with me from this podcast. Some of you have gone on to join Focus on the Fat Loss from this podcast. Some of you will go on to buy the book from this podcast. These are all avenues to help you who is serious about losing weight and keeping it off. It's not just losing weight anymore, it's bigger than that. Now, when it comes to mindset is one of the biggest things. How we think is how we think, how we feel, how we sense, how we doubt. All of those things can affect our weight loss. So one of the episodes that I would encourage you to go back and listen to on the podcast, if you haven't listened to them, I really encourage you to go back and listen to the mindset episodes that I've done. We go deep in the mindsets. There's a couple of episodes in the ABCs of weight loss, so you can listen to 4 ways to stay motivated to lose weight. Listen to you should hire a weight loss coach when. This is telling you when it's time for you to hire a weight loss coach. Listen to 4 reasons why you keep losing and regaining the same 5 or 10 pounds. 6 ways to lose W.E.I.G.H.t, weight with the acronym. And the ABCs of weight loss, letter R is for realistic. How to set realistic weight loss goals that you can actually achieve in 4 simple steps. The ABCs of weight loss, M is for mindset. Is your mindset keeping you overweight? Episode 65. Episode 65 and episode 66 is not losing weight. 10 reasons why you're not losing weight and how to fix them. Now, these are episodes that will talk to you about mindset. Now, over in season 2, we talked a lot about mindset. We talked a lot about calories. We talked a lot about mindset. We talked about eating out, and we talked about mum guilt as well. So episode 47, 3 ways mum guilt is keeping you overweight and how to overcome it. But episode 46 is and 45 are my biggest downloaded episodes ever in the whole history of the 3 years. Do you have what it takes to lose weight and keep it off? Episode 45. Episode 46, is your scarcity mindset keeping you from losing weight? These are the 2 biggest downloaded from all over the world. Literally, people all over the world are downloading episode 45 and 46. Now, if you're somebody who struggles with weight loss, if you're somebody who struggles with mindset, you can lose the weight, but it is your mindset that actually causes you to regain the weight that you've lost and even more. Because your mindset is constantly repeating over itself that you can't do this, you're a failure. It's time to change the way that you're thinking. It's time to change the way that you're speaking. And all of those things are going to take time to do. But journal, do these things. If you do these 3 things, go and listen to those episodes 45 and 46 and the other episodes that I've mentioned. Get yourself a journal and start to write how many times in a day that you remember that you start to think negatively about your weight. In closing, 3 things that you can do to help promote a healthy mindset, especially when it comes to losing weight, is to go back and listen to episode 45 and 46. Those 2 are the biggest downloaded episodes ever on the history of this podcast. Number 2 is to keep a journal of the way that you feel, and number 3 is to put a post-it note on your mirror or somewhere that you can see. Set a reminder on your phone and say, I am an overcomer, and continue this sentence. You continue and you add on to it week by week for 30 days. Try it as you can. If you miss one day, you miss one day, but you're aiming to, the point is you're getting into the habit of beginning to change your mindset. And this works if you do. If you don't, and you succumb to your negative mindsets, you succumb to that, you're always going to fall at this point. And this is the part that you need to break through, because you've lost weight. If you've lost a pound, if you've lost half a pound, if you've lost a quarter of a pound, you can lose weight. The issue isn't the fact that you cannot lose weight. The issue is the way that you think about yourself. And you're constantly telling yourself that you can't when you actually can, or you might need some help in order for you to start that again. When you've done those three things, after 30 days, come back and leave a review. Leave a review here, comment, leave a review in the Facebook community group. If you're not a part of the community group, join the community group. It's in the links below. There's all sorts of resources and ways, but showing up for yourself will get you the results. Focus on encouraging yourself. Focus on the positive. Focus on what you can do, not what you cannot do. This is what I'm here for as a coach. This is what I'm empowering you to do. Focus on the things that you can change, and let me help you focus on the things that you struggle with, i.e., your nutrition. You might be fantastic at exercise, but your nutrition is not where you want it to be. Let me help you focus on the nutrition, and we work together on helping you build not only a healthy diet, but a healthy mindset along the way. Friends, I have come, and if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, Verona, I actually want to have a little bit of a conversation with you. There's no money involved in it. We can have a free conversation to see if this coaching is right for you and if you are right for this coaching at this particular time. If you're not, that's not a problem. No love lost, and there's nothing else. You can continue listening to the podcast, but it's just an opportunity for us to have a conversation to see where you're at and to get the ball rolling and sign you up for coaching or focus on the fat loss. You've been tuning into VA Nutrition Coaching, the podcast, and it's been amazing to come and meet with you, especially after an Easter weekend. Hey friend, you made it to the end of the episode. What was your biggest takeaway from today's episode? Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review over on iTunes. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about today's episode, or you need help, then you can contact me over on Instagram at VA Nutrition Coaching Podcast, or email me support@vanutritioncoaching.co.uk, or you can head over to the Facebook page VA Nutrition Coaching Podcast. It helps us reach even more women who are fed up of dieting, don't know how to lose weight, they're frustrated with following Sally's results and they're not getting any of their own, and they just finally want to shed some pounds and do it in a way that they can sustain and they can enjoy. But my friends, that's a wrap for today's episode. I can't wait to catch you on the next one. Until then, friends, stay healthy, stay blessed, and remember, if you haven't already downloaded your 5-ingredient recipe pack, you can go to the website vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/recipes and download your 5-ingredient recipe pack. Who said healthy eating was boring? See you next time, friend.